popcorn ready as they enjoy those first round buys. All right, let's get into these matchups with our dynamic duo. Senior NFL writer Pete Prisco, former general manager Rick Spielman. They're already smiling. They've been talking all about this stuff for the last couple of days, and so we'll just continue it. Some good matchups, some intriguing matchups, and with that very thing in mind, which of these games is the most intriguing for you, Rick?
To me, and I know I'm not going to take Pete's thunder away, and he's going to talk about the young quarterback, but it's the Chargers versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville went out there in L.A. and beat them 38-10 in Week 3. Jacksonville's improved through the season. Their defense is getting better. Lawrence is playing at a high level, but also the Chargers are getting healthier. And to get Joey Bosa back on, I think Khalil Mack's going to be an X factor during these playoffs. So to see a healthy LA Chargers team, I know you were against it yesterday, them playing their starters when they had the number 5 seed locked up. But I think it was a good thing to get him rolling going into Jacksonville.
Well, Mike Williams did get hurt in that game.
He's fine.
Yeah, well, that's easy for you to say. You don't have the back problem like he does. No, he got hurt yesterday, so that's always a concern. But I get it. And you referenced that earlier game. Herbert had bad ribs and the receivers weren't there. It's an entirely different team right now. So I almost went there, but I knew you'd go for the master of the obvious and go for the easy one. So I went for even more of the master of the obvious, the easy one. I went with the Bucs and the Cowboys. Everybody is burying the Cowboys after what we saw on Sunday. They were terrible against Washington, but it's too easy to bury them. They can still rush the passer, and what do the Bucs have problems with? The ability to protect the quarterback, and when you don't protect the quarterback, Tom Brady is a problem, and I think this could be a problem for them. It might actually be a good thing that they didn't play well in what turned out to be a meaningless game because now they get refocused again. Dak Prescott has to be better, but I can't wait to watch that matchup, and we'll have to wait till Monday to see it.
Yeah, it's going to be the Monday night game. That's the final of the Super Wildcard Weekend matchups. Okay, so you alluded to it in terms of what you like for a quarterback matchup, Lawrence versus Herbert. As we look at the most intriguing quarterback matchup that you're kind of dying to see, is that the one, or do you have a different one?
No, Pete took that low-hanging fruit, so I'll take another one. I'll take Lamar Jackson versus Joe Burrow, and Joe Burrow's playing outstanding right now. But Lamar Jackson hasn't played since December 4th. I don't know if he's going to be healthy. I'm assuming they're going to put him out there.
You got him back in there already. That's news to everybody in the NFL.
Yeah.
You got him healthy.
Yeah, no, I got him healthy, and he's going to play this week. But I'll say this. He is one of the worst quarterbacks during the playoffs, and he has like a 68 quarterback rating with at least 2 starts. The only quarterback other than him that has been worse has been Andy Dalton. And also, he's 1-3 in the playoffs. And if he wants to talk about that guaranteed contract, he better go out and prove it. And I don't know if he can against the Cincinnati.
You know all about quarterbacks who struggle in the postseason. I mean, you used to have one.
Low-hanging fruit and low blows.
Purple.
1 and 2. Wow. 1 and 2.
We're purple. Mine is obviously it's the hair bowl. I mean, you have Justin Herbert going against.
How ironic.
I mean, you go against Lawrence. This is going to be one of those games where you look at it, you say 2 young quarterbacks, first playoff game for both. Remember, everybody thinks the Chargers have been there before. They haven't. And this is a long trip on a short week. That's a tough turnaround for the Chargers. Lawrence did not play well last week. He was struggling in a big way. I think he responds here and plays much better. This one could get loose, and we could see both teams into the high 20s and maybe into the 30s.
And hopefully Doug Peterson will have another play for you that you can go out and rip.
Gosh.
There's always one every game.
It's Philly specialitis is what I call it.
Play to your strengths. Play to your strengths.
Play football. Play football.
Play your game. Make your damn kicks while you're at it. Trevor Lawrence versus Justin Herbert, yes, one of the key matchups coming up Super Wildcard Weekend. You look at the numbers, I mean, not really a lot of difference there. Set to be a great matchup between those 2 quarterbacks and certainly those 2 teams. Okay, based on the early odds, the Dolphins, Giants, Ravens, Bucks, and Jags, and Seahawks are all the underdogs as we head to Wildcard Weekend. Pete, which of those teams has the best chance to upset the odds?
He knows where I'm going. Blue, Giants.
I figured you'd do.
Oh,
You know
really?
what? You got the team in Minnesota who you don't know is that good. They've been kind of a fraud all year long. Their point differential's been awful.
You can't be a fraud and win as many games as they've won this
When
year.
you have a minus point differential for most of the season, you can. Yes, you can. And so I think the Giants, who probably should have beat them the first time they went in there a couple weeks ago, should have won that game, didn't. They will go in there this time around and win the game on their field. So you getting points, take them. It's great value.
Yeah, I totally disagree with that.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins will come through in a clutch like he did all year for them if that gets down to the end of the game. Well, my underdog is going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Okay. And unless you bury the king, you better make sure he's dead or he's going to come back and haunt you, and that's Tom Brady. And I don't know if there's a better quarterback in postseason play than Tom Brady and what he's able to do. Dallas laid an egg. Dak Prescott was horrendous. Their defense got beat by a rookie quarterback who's never started an NFL game. They had so much on the line yesterday because they didn't know if Philly was going to win or not, to win potentially the #1 seed, to win the NFC East, and they were horrible. So the only concern I have with Tampa not being able to pull this out is the injuries up front on their offensive line, and Hensley got beat or hurt, their center, yesterday with a hamstring. But if they can't keep Tom Brady upright, then that may be an issue. But I don't see that happening.
Well, that's the way you beat him, is you knock him down. And everybody, if you look in the history of the postseason, his losses have all come with teams who get after him and pressure the quarterback.
Okay, so hang on a second here. We talked about underdog with the best chance to upset the odds. You said Jaguars.
No.
It says Jaguars in the run, and producer Jack is.
No, just go with Pete because.
So you're saying Giants or
I thought you said best bet. My bad.
Oh, that's going to be your best bet.
Yeah, the Giants are my best bet.
Giants are your best bet.
But the Jaguars, I think the Jaguars can win because I think the travel is bad for the Chargers. I really do.
Is it a defense? Do you think it's going to be defense that wins it for the Jaguars, or do you think it's going to have to be Trevor Lawrence?
No, it's got to be Trevor Lawrence. He's got to get back to what he was playing before last week. I thought he got caught up in the moment a little bit and struggled. He didn't look comfortable, and he admitted earlier this year he was a little nervous and he didn't feel comfortable and confident. I think he's going to be comfortable and confident this week, and I think that's going to respond. Yeah. Again, the travel's tough. Rick, you've been in this league a long time. You know when you turn around and play on a Sunday, and they played, and you have to go out on the road on a East Coast trip from the West Coast. You have to fly in on Friday now.
And that's probably the longest point from point A to point B because that's about a 6-hour flight to get over there.
It's a long trip, and I think the Jaguars can win that game, and I think they will win that game.
And I think Trevor Lawrence will learn from some of the mistakes he made in that big game to win the AFC South because that was his first big stage to come up and win something. So I think he'll grow from that experience on some of the throws that he did miss to win.
Yeah, and there's always the factor that can play into this game, though. Chargering. We've seen it over the years. Yes. They always tend to charger in big games, and something happens.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
That's a terrible thing. They chargered some on Sunday because they played their guys. That's kind of chargering.
Well, it's certainly an important game for Justin Herbert. I mean, you think Trevor Lawrence is going to have more of these games as the Jags continue to build, but for Herbert, it's about him. He's been in the league a few years now. This is a big game for him in terms of establishing. He's already a star, but moving on.
One quick point. So you're going to have Chargeritis against the Philly specialist. Is that what you're saying?
That's NFC playoff picture. Interestingly enough, all 6 wildcard games coming in Super Cup wildcard weekend are rematches from the regular season. We're even going to get 3 divisional matchups, one of which is your 2-7 on the NFC side, the Niners and Seahawks, leading things off on Saturday at 4:30 Eastern time. You got the Giants and the Vikings in the 6-3, Cowboys and Bucks both feeling flat-footed in the 5-4, Eagles on ice for a week. All right, let's bring in the Wizard of Odds, Kenny White. We like to say when you buy is just as important as what you buy. So taking a look at these early lines and looking for opportunity, Kenny, we do have data points as we're getting rematches, we're getting divisional games. We're going to start on the NFC side with both a rematch and a divisional game between the Seahawks and the 49ers. Second biggest number we're looking at here with the home side, the Niners laying 10. Totals coming in at 42. Your initial reaction to these numbers is what?
I thought the game should be 10.5, 11. I think you're going to see it go up. San Francisco's a public team now, and they've been very, very good. We know Seattle has overachieved all season long. Very weak defense, and it's going to be trouble. They lost both games this year. You mentioned everybody's played. That's great. So a loss by 8 points at home and a loss by 20 on the road. 2 pretty dominating games by San Francisco. But I think they're a little different team right now. It seems like Kyle Shanahan has opened up the offense more now with Brock Purdy under center.
Yeah, Brock Purdy, that offense rolling. Do we have the stomach for 10? We shall see. Numbers will move, but that's our first look at that one. NFC is going to roll on here on Sunday with the Giants and the Vikings midday. That is Kirk Cousins outside of the 1 p.m. slot. It needs to be said. It needs to be taken into account. Vikings laying 3 at home, totals 47. Obviously, there's a checkered playoff past that haunts the Vikings. What's your first look at this one?
Well, we've been talking about the Vikings being a paper tiger for a long time now. A team that's I have 16th offensively in yards per play at number 30 on the defensive side. The Giants actually have better numbers, 13th offensively and 27th on the defense. So 2 weak defenses in this game. I really was hoping that the line would be more like it was the first time these two played. The Vikings closed 4.5 in that game. So I thought there might be a chance of seeing at least 3.5 here. I like the G-men. I'll take the Giants plus the points. I think they're going to be able to run the football against the Vikings, and I think that their defense right now is playing better than Minnesota is. I don't care about the Kirk Cousins jinx. That's really nothing to do with it, but I think the Vikings plus the points, I'll take them.
Yeah, that was my early lean there.
Giants.
That is, yeah, the Giants, they're scooping up those points in that spot. NFC side will round out in prime time on Monday night with the Cowboys and the Bucs. Feels like 2 really flat-footed football teams right now, Kenny. This is one of 2 road favorites we have here with the Cowboys laying 3 points. Totals coming in at 44. Where'd you make your number? Where's our opportunity right now?
I have the Cowboys 6.5 over Tampa. It's probably the biggest difference I have any of these games, and I'm factoring in a little revenge factor. They lost 19-3 to begin the season. I think it was week 1 or week 2 they lost at home to Tampa, so a little bit of revenge, on the Cowboys side. I didn't like what I saw today. Watched Washington and Dallas play first half. I just thought it was horrendous play calling on both sides, so left just not wanting to watch any more of that. I hope that the Cowboys can be the team we've seen the previous 6 weeks, where they're the highest scoring team in the NFL over that time period. That offense have been clicking all cylinders, and the defense flying around making plays. I just don't think they were really incentivized today. I think they will be against Tampa. They know what they're up against. They know they lost against them. They know it's Tom Brady. I know they're 1-4 on grass, but small sample size, does it mean a lot? I don't really think so. I think the Cowboys win the game.
Give me the over on passing attempts in that one. We'll see how it all plays out. Here's what Kenny White expects and how we're going to take a look at these numbers. Seahawks, Niners, you like the over 42 there, 10. It's a whole lot of hay to bale. Giants and Vikings, we're leaning towards the Giants here, taking those points, running the football. Cowboys, Bucks, palms to the air, who knows? Cowboys laying the 3 here on the road. Kenny White going to lay those points. Plenty to dig into on the AFC side as well. Kansas City going to take a nice little rest. 2-7 going to give you the Bills and the Dolphins. Now, who will be quarterback for the Dolphins remains a question. You get another divisional matchup between the Bengals and the Ravens in your 3-6. And then it's the Jaguars and the Bolts trying to add a notch to a young quarterback's belt. And that's exactly where we start on Saturday. Chargers and Jaguars. Chargers 2.5-point road favorites. Totals coming in at 47. My biggest question mark here is what we saw on Sunday, specifically with Bosa and Williams. Their availability moving forward could be in question. As we sort of read between the lines here, Kenny White, what's your feel for the Chargers, their preparedness for this moment against the Jags?
Well, those are 2 big-time players. We got to make sure that Bosa and Williams are both in. I'd have Bosa about a 1.5 difference, and I've got Mike Williams a 1-point difference. So those guys could change me, sway me from one side to the other. I made the Chargers a 2.5-point favorite in the game. I'll lay the 1. I actually laid pick already. That was the one game I've already bet. That's the only game I've actually bet so far is the Chargers. And I like it because I like the way this team's playing right now. They got all the weapons back. Obviously, Mike Williams is one of those weapons we need in there. But they're playing their best football, I think, of the season right now. Jacksonville is as well. But I don't like what I saw to Jacksonville against Tennessee. I saw a very tight team. I saw a very tight Trevor Lawrence. They were very fortunate to get the scoop and score for the win. They may have lost that game if they don't get that. And Tennessee is not a very good football team. The Chargers, I think, would be 10 over Tennessee right now. So I like the Chargers here in this spot. I think they get their home revenge from that first game they lost this year. 38-10 they lost to Jacksonville earlier this year. I think they turn it around. They win this game by I got it by 3. Hopefully they win by a touchdown.
And that line could move with the way the news moves as well. Dolphins and Bills, we will await some news there. 11 points, the Bills. Biggest line of Super Wildcard Weekend. They're laying in this spot. Over-under's 45. That one going to kick off the day Sunday on CBS. Kenny White, as we take a look at that number, 11, that really feels like a no Tua line to me. Does it to you?
To me, it does as well, Joe. I thought this game should be somewhere around 7.5 with Tua, and maybe 11, 10.5, 11 without him. But I think he's going to play. I'm guessing he's going to play right now. I would think he'll do everything in his power if they can get him through the concussion protocol. He's going to be in the lineup, and he could be a difference maker in this game. I think it's going to be a very high-scoring game. I like it over the total as well. I think that even without Tua, I still think this game could go over the total. So I think Teddy Bridgewater will be the quarterback. I'm not sure it'll be Skylar Thompson. It could be, but I think Bridgewater's the better quarterback of the two. So we'll see. I'm hoping it's Tua. Give me the 11 and let me go over.
Yeah, you just saw it right there. 101 combined points in the two matchups this season. I love the over in that spot as well. Ravens and Bengals going to be your final AFC offering. Bengals given 6, totals 44. That's coming in prime time on Sunday night. Divisional matchup. Joe Cool with unfinished business. The storyline's already made. Lamar is the question mark. What do you make of the numbers?
It looks like a Lamar in number to me. Obviously, we just saw these two play, and the game was up to 12 today without Lamar in the lineup, and the total was like 38. So that's a Lamar out number. The Bengals 6.5, 44. That's a Lamar in number. I think he's playing. John Harbaugh, one of the best coaches in the NFL. He gets more out of his talent than anybody. I think it's advantage to Baltimore. Just seeing Cincinnati, just playing back-to-back weeks. Both teams did it, but Cincinnati won the game. Baltimore lost the game. I think it's a close game. I think Baltimore, with Lamar Jackson, can take this down to the wire. I think Cincinnati wins, but I think Baltimore covers.
And maybe a little bit of unfinished business there with the Ravens feeling like they should have had their shot at a divisional title. Kenny White, always on the money.